Okay, here we go. Welcome to the community call number 36. It's a very special one. We're back on Jitsi after Spaces because we have a great presentation here and there's some visual stuff we want to go over. And that cannot happen on Twitter Spaces, so we are here. So thank you all for joining. I'm pretty excited about this one. And I'm not going to say anything else. I will hand over to Stephen and Thunder Biscuit, who will then provide an introduction to the big presentation that we'll see. So Stephen, I think, do you want to take over from here? I think he's preparing, but muted. But I think that's a yes.
Yeah, I'm ready. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just throwing up the website here. So yeah, we've been working with me and Christoph and Thunder Biscuit. I've been working with the Summer of Bitcoin program this year, and it's actually my first year participating in this project as a mentor. So I know this is Thunder Biscuit's second year, but you know, I liken it to being kind of like the Google Summer of Code project, but specifically focused on getting students working on open source Bitcoin projects. I'm getting a little bit of echo from somebody, so if everyone else could mute for a second, that'd be great. Thanks. But yeah, so it's kind of a project with students involved in working on open source Bitcoin projects. And I think this is kind of a new thing where they wanted to get designers involved this year instead of developers. I don't think they did that last year. So me as someone, I contribute to the Bitcoin Design Guide and other projects in the Bitcoin design community, and so they reached out and asked if I'd be a mentor, and yeah. So Thunder Biscuit, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about this too, about what your involvement has been?
Yeah, sure. Summer Bitcoin wise, or
Yeah.
I feel like so this is my second year doing Summer Bitcoin, and last year we had great success, good students helping out, and but we didn't have the design track last year, and this year I wanted to do it again, and I was really lucky, got a great student again this year, so we did a ton of stuff. But initially I remember Adi was asking if anybody had ideas for design projects that could be done for Summer Bitcoin, and I said, well, you know what, like if somebody is a mentor, like a design mentor, then my little app could be one of those that gets added as a design project if somebody's willing to mentor. And that's kind of how it happened. I think we ended up having a lot more sort of like applicants for Padawan than we thought. So there was like 6 or 7 applicants for Padawan, and I think it speaks to the fact that the idea was good, but the look of it was shit. And so that's how we ended up with everybody wanting to contribute to it because they thought they could do better than what I had built design-wise prior. So we're happy this is how it turned out.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, some people in the community may already be familiar with what Padawan wallet is, but if you're not, I think I'll actually just not maybe we should just not describe that and just kind of let the students kind of talk about that in their presentation. So yeah, I mean, Christoph, is there any other kind of setting the stage stuff do you think we need to talk about, or should just turn it over to the students?
Yeah, I think it might be helpful a little bit to talk about. I mean, there's kind of a whole process involved in the students like applying, and they have to actually they have to do a lot of work to even get into this program. There's a whole selection process, and you guys had to study, like read some books and like do some exercises, right? And it's actually a pretty tough road to even just get into this. So that was pretty cool. And then to actually also successfully make it through the program, it's a pretty big achievement. And we don't have to go into the details of this whole process. I think the Summer of Bitcoin website, you can read all about that if you're interested. But yeah, it was a pretty long road that I think started like end of last year even for the students, from the first application or so up to where we are now. So I think that's pretty cool. But that was it. Otherwise, we could hop into the project and the presentation maybe.
Great. So yeah, we'll just turn it over to Autumn, Himanshu, and Precious, and take it from there. And if anybody has any questions for them, just I'd say just save it for the end after they're done showing off their work.
Okay, I will share my screen now. Can everyone see my screen?
Sure can.
Okay, awesome. So hello everyone. My name is Autumn. I'm one of the designers for Padawan Wallet. I'm so excited to be here. So yeah, I guess let's get started. So what is Padawan Wallet? Padawan Wallet is a testnet wallet designed to bring really any user, but specifically new users, into this space and like get familiar with how a Bitcoin wallet works. And it's all about learning about Bitcoin concepts, about completing tutorials, and learning how to send, receive, and sync a wallet. So it's all about building confidence for new users and bringing them into this whole world of Bitcoin. So some of the things that they have, or like Padawan Wallet has, is exercises for understanding concepts, replicating a regular Bitcoin wallet. It helps build confidence. It's on the testnet, so you don't have to be afraid of, oh, like if I mess something up, I'm losing my Bitcoin. And it gets rid of that fear aspect. And then it teaches about simple Bitcoin topics. So part of the mission and like the goals for this project was, I think this team has a really good understanding of Bitcoin can sometimes be really hard to get into, especially when you're a new user who's just like, oh, I want to figure something out, or I just want to like learn a little bit about Bitcoin. And I think we wanted to break down that barrier between new users coming into the space and then also just continuing to go into the space, learn about Bitcoin, and continue their Bitcoin journey. And so we wanted to make this whole app really fun and informative so that people can really learn. It's easy to use. It helps to motivate people to continue to learn more. It builds confidence. It brings more users into the space. And then it also has this smooth transition between like when the users for Padawan Wallet are done with the app, they can really have a smooth transition into using a Bitcoin wallet and not really have to have all this fear, uncertainty, and doubt when sending their first transaction or something like that. So the main part that I'll be talking about in this presentation is about research. So the first thing we'll focus on is the domain research. This was before we just started designing anything and kind of really came to a solid understanding of what we wanted to incorporate into our designs. And so we looked at different platforms out there that had really good learning models, and like we're like, oh, we really like the way that they incorporate like a progress model into this. So it's like encouraging you to continue to learn, and you're making process in your learning. Or it's like, oh, I like the organization and the graphics they use. And so we went through a few of these applications, and we're like, we really like these certain things, and we'd like to apply these. So these are a list of some of the things or apps that we looked at for some inspiration. And from there, then we came up with concepts that we would want to incorporate into the app. So like Himanshu was talking about like reward-based learning and process in terms of days, progress in terms of days. Precious was saying like, let's simplify these Bitcoin topics and really help people understand these little things that are really important to know, and making the app feel like it's a friend for the user. So it's like, we're holding your hand through this. You can do it. You can learn, and make it fun. And then some of the things I said is making it fun, motivate people to keep learning, and build confidence so that they can really feel confident in sending a transaction and about learning about Bitcoin concepts. And then some pain points that we put together were, at least for me, some things when I first interacted with the app was, how can I get easy access to an address so that I can send a transaction? Or maybe the input amount should be in dollars because most new users would be familiar with dollars instead of sats, or have the fee rate be calculated for you. Maybe have a pop-up window after a transaction is completed to show, yes, like your transaction went through, you successfully did it. It's just taking time to show up on your transaction history. And just these little things or little changes that could just be improved could really help the UX design. Some pain points that Himanshu came up with was the UI could be improved, there's a lack of onboarding, there's a few UX problems, and there's no personalization. And then for the pain points for Precious, it was like the complexity of the backup and recovery phrase. It's a little bit hard to come by with the first design because it was different. And so how can we make that as easy as possible and straightforward? Or not knowing about the fees that come with a transaction. So that kind of relates to the transaction part of things. And then like tense onboarding. So after this whole phase of domain research and kind of understanding some of the things that we'd want to add on to the project, we went into user research. So the objectives for this was we wanted to identify the user flow, see, was it a consistent thing that the user went to each time? Like, did they always press the send button first? Or what aspects of the app could be improved on? What components could be added? What things were unclear? And see how different users interacted with the app, whether they've used a Bitcoin app before or are familiar with the concept, and people who have no idea about this and are completely new. So the research method that I used was we had in-person interviews and Zoom interviews. So at first, it was like 3 to 5 minutes where I just let the user roam around the app. They just kind of went wherever they wanted to. They saw, oh, what's this? Explored it a bit, kind of reenacting what a regular user who just downloaded a Padawan wallet would kind of do. And then after that, after observing them, seeing what caught their eye, I asked them to complete 3 tasks. So I said, could you send a transaction for me? Could you complete a tutorial? And then could you recover a seed phrase? And I felt like these 3 things were a very important part of the app that everyone would have to go through when they use the app. So I wanted to see what things were complicated, some things were confusing, and some things that really worked well that I wasn't expecting. And then after the interviews, a survey, I asked the people to fill out a survey just to get feedback of the features in the app in general. So the results of the research concluded that the overall app was really good because everyone was drawn to different things and were able to go to their whatever they were interested in without a lot of confusion. It definitely helped when people knew about how a Bitcoin mobile wallet worked already, because they were able to apply what they knew to something that they were working with on the app. So for example, like the recovery phrase, new users had no idea what that was, so it kind of took them a little bit to figure that out and then go back, whereas people who knew what a recovery phrase is were like, oh yeah, I know what that is, I can move on. And then the last part is the major features on the app, like tutorials, sending, receiving, syncing, a recovery seed phrase, were all very clear. It was and apparent to the user. So all the main features really got across to the users, and they didn't come across a lot of problems. So I put together a few journey maps of 2 of the interviews that I did. So it was like the first part is they created a wallet, then they went to the send button. They didn't have the information and weren't ready to interact with that page yet, so they went back to the home screen. Then they went to the tutorials and they clicked on a tutorial. They looked at the tutorial and they read through it. Then they went back to the home screen and then went to the sidebar. And then another user went from creating a new wallet to the sidebar. And they went to the recovery phrase. And since they didn't really know what a recovery phrase was, because they're new to this whole concept, they went back to the home page. They went to the send button. They didn't exactly know what to do there either because they were still new to it. So then they went back to the home page, and then they went to the tutorials. And so after these interviews, I was able to kind of put together a list of low-hanging fruit, like easy solutions that could be implemented with a pretty easy design. And so part of that came with like an example of what to put in the feed box, because almost every single person I interviewed was confused about that. Complete a transaction. There's a pop-up window. Add a complete button at the end so that people have this sense of satisfaction. Have back arrows at the ends of each page, because some of the users were not Android users, so they weren't exactly sure how to exit certain pages, and they were just like kind of panicking on a page, like, how do I get off this page? And so just adding a simple back arrow could help eliminate that. We want to make the tutorials a little bit shorter and add more visuals and exercises. And then also have like the 12 to 24 recovery phrase pop up at first to get the idea that the recovery phrase is a really important part of the wallet. And it'll draw attention to that. And so some other in-depth solutions was create exercises that are part of different tutorials to just help users really get a better idea of the concept. So it's like, for example, in the sending a Bitcoin transaction, you could have 3 options, like send 200 sats, send 500 sats, send 1,000 sats, and you complete all 3 of those by inputting the address and then inputting the amount you want to send, and then the recovery, and then the seed phrase is, or not the seed phrase, the fee rate is completely calculated, and then you can send it off. So it's just getting the user to really get comfortable with the process of sending a transaction. And then the last one is just rework the UX by connecting the recovery seed phrase page with other concepts to really help them understand, like, this is a really important concept to your wallet, and this is how it is incorporated into your wallet when using a Bitcoin wallet. So yeah, that's all the research that I really did. And the conclusion was that the main points are pretty clear to all users, which is great. And that the content within tutorials are really informative. But if we add some hands-on exercises and ways in graphics to help kind of hold their attention more, it'll be really great. And then the concept of apps is something that people find helpful. And so there's only little minor adjustments that we could make, like certain parts can be clarified, less information in certain places, and then just get the user to really interact with the app and be less passive about it. Yeah, so that's really it for the research part. And I think I'm handing it over to Himanshu now, who will show you the prototype.
Yeah, I think it's. I think Precious wants to present his part. So yeah.
Okay. Hello, my name is Precious. I'm one of the designers working on Padawan for this summer. So after we had gotten all like the insight of what we had to do on the research, we laid out some of the screen or all the screens of Padawan. Like, we took screenshot of them, and then we kind of like pinpointed parts that needed to part that needed to be improved, and then so we came up with sort of like a wireframe. So it was at this point I and Himanshu, like we tried out like just like to like sketch different aspects of we try to like sketch out different aspect of like how we feel like the app would be like. So in Himanshu's case, this was like the onboarding, and he had an idea where uh when we lay out the um yeah the application, we like tell the users like on Padawan what they are here for and like what features they would see when they use Padawan, which was something that wasn't like clear on like the former app. And then on like the wallet creation side, um we had to like streamline it to like focus, because mainly Padawan was the one of the target users or the major target users of Padawan would be people that have never used Padawan before. So um the former app had like a kind of like us made users like to choose between these two. So here was like an introduction to like tell them, okay, here hey dear, let's start your awesome Padawan journey by creating a testnet wallet. And then they could create a testnet wallet. Then for someone that is no need to Padawan, they could recover the testnet. And then after that to be like the home screen. Um the home screen actually the user would see his wallet. Then also like um also tried out like the learning page, which was just like a rough sketch of how of how the learning will be. There was a part here where Himanshu had an idea of having a roadmap sort of, and then also like to make the tutorial more approachable, like mixing the tutorials with illustrations, and also with mixing it up with illustrations and as well as content. And then on my own part of um, the spectrum, something um, similar or different. Like at this point, we're just trying out ideas and kind of like see what works and what doesn't. And so here was like similar process of like introducing to the user to the features of what Padawan is, and then setting up the wallet of Padawan. And here, as soon as they enter, they approach it like telling them to like the first task that they have to do is like to get a coin, because in Padawan or in any wallet in general, like it comes empty. And with Padawan it comes with a um um with funding installed already. So 21,000 sats. So this part here was like to tell the users uh that they should perform like a skill of funding their wallet through like a testnet faucet. So it like happens on the background, and then as soon as they do that, like there's like a transaction that shows up here. So it's no longer empty, but here is the transaction um, 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 is populated already, and then the balance shows. And then for the wallet recovery, this part was a part that wasn't like so much clear to like the user, and so we had to like impute words to like tell them that um, entering your recovery phrase, this contains all all the information about your wallet, and then here they could impute everything and then set up, and it leads them to like the home screen. Also for the learning content, since we had already checked out some apps or some learning tutorials, we tried out like some content, some of the things that we felt like would work from different apps. So here was like the user entering the app, and then they see like what they would be learning, or what they've been learning, so that they could continue from there. And then at each part of the app, if there's like a complex word, it's highlighted so that as soon as the user presses it, it's sort of like a tool a tooltip is shown to explain to the user, so the user doesn't feel lost in the learning process. And for the sending of testnet, there was also this part where as soon as the payment is completed, there's like a there's like a way to like make the user feel joyful that okay, payment has been completed or this payment has been sent. Yeah, and then also the review Bitcoin button. So as we did this, this was like us like bringing out as much as idea that could that we felt like could fly or like could solve the user problem at that instant. And then because of time constraint and how we had to like prioritize issues, we had to like streamline some of these things we had come up with, and then we went to like the high fidelity explorations. So here was like Himanshu's some of the design that Himanshu came up, and also here we had to like go like with a bit of let's say like if you are familiar with Star Wars, here with like the Sabertooth the kind of like the sword here, and then Thunder Biscuit, which is like the client in this instance, like had like this drawback of like, hey, this concept is very good, but like we want Padawan to be strictly for learning, and we shouldn't there'll be like a copyright issues going with if you go through the route of making everything being about Star Wars. Then so after that we had to like think of other ways we could make the app feel interesting without going through that route. This was some further explorations we had carried out. This was like in high fidelity how the user will go through the process of like creating an app, from creating, and then here they like see their home screen, and then also they proceed to like seeing the learning content when they see the learning content. On my own end, there was a different style, and all this was like and while we're designing all this we had in mind to like make it be make Padawan being approachable as possible, because like all the app or all the real Bitcoin wallet app out there felt like it was so engineered. So for someone that's entering into Bitcoin, there was the need to like make it more welcoming, make it more like someone that you could walk up to at any time to like say, okay, yes, Bitcoin is not as complex as you think it is. We just a little lesson of you should be able to get up to speed with what's happening in the Bitcoin space. So we also kept that in mind while trying to design all this. And this was like one of the first exploration I went for on my own end. And then there was also a drawback to hear about like not making it feel like is an app for children. And yeah, this was like one of this thing I'm trying it both in dark mode and in light mode. And then also here yeah, and also here, so then we also finally after that we tried out all this experiment. We had to like go to the after some iterations and back and forth from our mentors, and then after some design decisions, we had to like go to like the final year. So I'll pass it on to Himanshu to like show the final prototype of like how the app came about after we had gone after so many decisions we had like made we had finally settled on what felt like what we are going to present now. So over to you, Himanshu.
Well, thank you, Autumn and Precious, for covering the research and the wireframe part pretty well. So hi guys, I'm Himanshu, and I would be covering the prototype part of the Padawan wallet. I would be covering the final prototype. So I'll just share my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible?
Sure is.
Yeah, okay. So I'll be starting with the onboarding part. So this is the first page that a new user will see once they download Padawan and open it for the first time. So first things first, this app is basically all about making Bitcoin learning fun and simple for everyone, right? So we cover all the major aspects through the onboarding and tell the user what we actually represent, right? So we have simplified tutorials. We have, f- curated lessons filled with illustrations and all that makes learning fun. We also provide a hands-on experience for all the learning, because we let you create a testnet wallet of your own, so you can have fun, uh, just do your own experiments and learn your own way, right? And one major important thing about Padawan is that it doesn't require any accounts and it doesn't store any data of any kind. So you can just pretty much get started as soon as you finish the onboarding, right? So the user is presented with this screen. They have the option to create a wallet. There's a note that says that, okay, this is not a real wallet. It's just used for the purpose of learning. So our this ties in with our goal of making the application fun and relaxing for the users, and not like super hassle and all that. Uh, so the users also have the option to recover their wallet if they ever made one on the Padawan before. So let's say what happens when they recover wallet. They would be required to enter their 12 words seed phrase, and once they enter everything, they would be able to restore their wallet. But let's see what happens when a new user tries to create a wallet. So the user is creating a wallet and they are presented with an empty wallet. There's no balance. There's two prominent actions of receive and send, and there's a transaction list which is completely empty, and it says, hey, your list is empty. uh, Make some transaction to fill it up to see what's going on. So this is pretty much the very basic, very empty state that a first time user would be having. uh, I'll show you what it would look like after few transactions for any user. So let's say the user has made some transactions. There's some balance in the app. The user can switch between sats and Bitcoin with just one click. There's a transaction list which is sorted, like here it is sorted with recent transactions. So you see like 2 minutes ago, 4 hours and all that. And it says the nature of the transaction as well, and the amount, along with the address, right? So yeah, there are a lot of actions on the home page. So the user can also view their transaction. So let's say they click on this. They can view the transaction details, more in depth of everything. They can have the address, the fees, the fee rate, the receiving time, and all that sort of detail, right? So the app also has two prominent features of receiving and sending, just like any other wallet application. So I'll cover the receiving first. We have put illustrations and small animations here and there so as to make it uh, a great experience for people who are willing to learn, because we don't want the application to look like a wallet, like a typical wallet, and just give them 50 different things to do, right? So the user can generate their address. They will be given a QR along with the address. They can copy this, send this to their friend, and then receive the payments on their wallet, right? So this is pretty much the receive functionality. Now I'll show the send functionality, which has a lot, which is a bit more complex than the receive one. So in sending testnet coins to another person, the user has to go through three things. They have to enter the amount, pretty typical. They can choose sats or they can enter in Bitcoin. They have to choose an address. They can scan for it as well, and they have to select a fee rate. Uh, by default, the fee rate is set to 3 sat per byte, and it also shows the time the transaction would uh, you know uh, take place in. So let's say this fee rate will make the transaction happen in like 5 to 10 minutes. So the user can scan, as I said, and once they scan, like the scanned address will be shown here. If it's if it is incorrect, they can rescan it or they can just confirm it, right? They can also select the fee rate via a custom slider. So it says here 3 sat per byte and it's a normal fee rate. They can increase it to, let's say, fast, and it says 1 to 2 minutes, and the fee rate is now increased to 8 sat per byte. So once the user confirms this, let's say they have entered the amount, they have entered the address, and they have entered the fee rate. So this is a typical, field form for the for sending the testnet coins. And once they send it, they will be presented. They'll be shown a success state basically. So if this sending Bitcoin was part of a tutorial, they'll be shown this card, like, yeah, like you're on a roll and you just completed this lesson, so keep it up. If they're just sending it like sort of for fun, they will be given this, okay, payment initiated from our site. And if they face any problem or the transaction doesn't go through, they will be faced with an error, like, okay, yeah, something went wrong, or maybe you typed in incorrect address and whatnot. So we basically tried to cover some essential success and error states as we could. And yeah, that covers our home experience pretty much. Now I would be moving towards the learning page. And on the learning page, we used one of our wireframe ideas to create a custom user journey map. So it's basically like uh, a game. We tried to gamify the app as much as we could, especially for the learning part. So the content is divided into different chapters, meaningful chapters, and the user can navigate through them pretty easily by just dragging from left to right. So you can see the chapter 2 is about transactions, which would include sending and receiving Bitcoin. Chapter 3 is about security, which would cover seed phrase and recovering your wallet. And you can also navigate through these arrows as well. Also, we have used two different icons to represent two different kind of tutorials. The diamond icon represents the concept, and this medal icon represents the skill part of the tutorial. So even in the current version of Padawan, the tutorials are of two kinds: concepts and skills. Concepts are basically this written content with some illustrations here and there to feed people that knowledge, to help people understand that subject a bit better. While skill represents the practical aspect of learning, and it helps user perform actual tasks within the app so that they learn while doing so and they can retain as much as we want them to, right? So I'll show you how a typical tutorial would look like in Padawan. So this tutorial talks about Bitcoin units. We have our progress bar for the tutorial, and we have a label which says it's a concept. The user can navigate through it pretty much, and they can view the content in its entirety. We have mixed illustrations in the same style that the application is built in. And yeah, they can pretty much go through this and just finish the tutorial. Now, I'll also be covering the skill portion. So how does it differ from the content or the normal tutorials? If you see right here, this tutorial, this skill is about syncing your wallet. So the illustration here shows that, okay, on your home, if you go on your home page, you'll see there's a sync button on your card, and the next page shows you the animation once you press the sync button. So the user will know, like, okay, this is a response I should expect from the app once I do this. And the user will go to their homepage and try syncing their wallet. And with the help of these micro interactions, they will be able to do so pretty well. So that's the lesson part covered. I'll be covering the menu page. Now this is the third and the final page of the application. This pretty much covers the rest of the stuff that is vital. And like it has the about us page, which basically covers the team and and what Padawan is all about. It has the privacy policy, as do all apps have. It also has the recovery phrase, so the user can view their testnet wallet's recovery phrase from here. So once they go here, they're shown this, okay, like the words are hidden, they're not like straight away revealed. And this is to ensure that users take this pretty seriously, like they would in a real mainnet wallet. that okay, your seed phrase is actually very confidential and you don't want to just let anybody see it, so you have to be careful. So this is kind of that warning, and once you reveal it, yeah, so the user can pretty much go through them. The user also has the option to reset tutorials. By this, they would reset their entire tutorials progress. So, for example, there might be a scenario where one person in a family has, went through Padawan and completed it in, let's say, 2 days, but they also want their brother to, learn through it. So they can just reset the progress with one click, and they can just, let him do the job as well. Apart from this, there are two important actions here as well: uh, the get testnet coins and return testnet coins. These are also covered in tutorials, and the user can also perform these actions on the home page. However, we have also included it in menu page for easy accessibility for the developers. Let's say there's somebody testing the application for some bug fixes, and they just want to like get testnet coins quickly from the faucet and return them to the faucet. They can just do with the one click of a button. They don't have to skim through all the tutorials and make a progress. They can just do directly from here. So yeah, it's a measure for accessibility basically. So yeah, that pretty much covers the entirety of Padawan, and I hope you guys liked it. Thank you.
Okay.
That was awesome. Thanks so much, guys. It's a really incredible work. I see a bunch of people here have started raising their hands to speak. I think I saw Autumn's go up first, though honestly, I can't keep track of all the different hand raises.
Sorry, I did not mean to press that.
Oh, it happens all the time. Everyone's trying to do the applause emoji and then accidentally raises their hand.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
So, what was the most challenging part of this process for everyone?
Okay.
I think
So
the open source aspect of things was very new to me, and also working in a group, because this is my first open source project and really design project with a team. So there was a lot of new stuff that I really learned, and it was really awesome. So I think it was just making that transition into collaborating with other people in design, and also learning more, like developing my skills as well as contributing to the project at the same time.
mine was collaborating with like three designers on a single project. It like made me like see new ways of and the benefit of collaborating, sharing ideas, giving feedback, and bringing the best ideas for the benefit of the project.
Yeah, for me as well, I think contributing and collaborating with other people was an overall very great experience, and also the freedom to explore different ideas, some very bold UI decisions and all. I think it pretty much was super cool.
Thunder Biscuit, this is your first time working with designers on a project, was it?
Yeah. It was my first time really having designers sort of directly building something for me, as opposed to just me grabbing some design that's been pre-built and then just applying that for applications. So that's been that was super cool learning experience too, and like participating in those meetings and the amount of iterations that went into this, like, it was fun. being part of that. And obviously, also I started this app a year and a half ago or whatever, and it was just me, right? So now seeing this and the amount of work, I'm obviously very proud of what the students have done over the summer and the mentors. So this was like Christoph and Steven, you know, helping the three of them like every week for the whole summer. It's been awesome. We had a special chat channel on Discord, and we had a ton of like, we had a dev call once a week. So, and this is super international. We have like my student on the engineering side, I have a student as well. So it was 2 developers and 5 designers. So it was like 7 people on a dev call every week from all over the world. So we have like 7 different time zones, I think. So it was the poor guy in Singapore. It was always like 1 a.m. for him or whatever. Otherwise, yeah, that I was with friends once, like in the car, and just like, wow, this is like crazy. All these people with all these accents, and it's just like 100% international, working for, just having fun building this app that I'm building for free. Basically, nobody's paying me for this, and nobody's paying anybody else for this. So thanks everyone. I want to say Padawan is currently on the App Store, so if you are listening to this call and you want to check it out, you should definitely download it. It looks nothing like what you've seen today. So, but that also means there's a lot of like opportunity, because we're currently building this UI that the guys are building on Figma. So like this is being incorporated. Like I'm reviewing a PR right now that does the home tutorial screen. So like this is happening like today. So if you have comments, ideas, you should consider downloading the app. It's Android only at the moment, but
Hey, Huff, so I saw you had a question in the chat here. Did you want to talk about that? Oh, yeah, I see you're in a loud area at the moment, so I'll just read it. So the tooltips and overall language is looking really close, which is awesome. I was curious about the process of developing and refining the language and microcopy. Does anybody want to speak to that?
Yeah. So about that, I think one of our key focus on the future with Padawan design is that we would be covering uh, a lot of this via our accessibility tests. We would be, interviewing users and uh, helping them go through the entire app and see where the issue is. And also on the content part, a lot of it is to be decided, and a lot of it has to be kind of categorized. So yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing process, and yeah, we'll be improving that as soon as we can.
I want to say, if I understood your question around language and like the actual content of the tutorials and the tooltips and all of that, this has been for a year and a half, like one of the areas that I would love to get the most amount of input and help with. I'm using like some friends that are like not too Bitcoiners a little bit, but like it is hard if you've been in Bitcoin for a while to write something for, a 14-year-old that opens your Bitcoin app for the first time. So and this is something we're really looking to clean up. I convinced a friend of mine to help me copyrights, and she's done 2 tutorials, which I think are much better than what I had written before. But yeah, if any, and I try to make it easier. I created a markdown file on the repo that other people could like go and comment on that README file or PR changes, but it still requires GitHub understanding and all of that. So I'm looking for tools to help collaborate on this, because it's an open source, completely free project. If you're interested in helping out on the tutorials, I am interested in getting contributors for that. Definitely. And then once, I think one of our goals is, if we can you have to understand that maintaining and developing an app is like very costly in terms of engineering time and effort. And so what I would love to do, because I'm not paid for this, so it's a bit of a weekend project, is if we can get the app to a version like 1.0 that's kind of like set and it's clear and it has all the tutorials, it has everything we need, all the basics, then that doesn't require too much work to keep it up, like, a few commits once a month or whatever. So that's quite easy. And once you have that, then developing other languages is super easy because your content doesn't change. So if you have most of the app built, then we can start, like, why not just rewrite Padawan? Because then that's just a file anybody can help me translate. And it automatically populates depending on the location you download the app from. So if we get it written in 8 languages, like, that's super easy. The complexity comes from if the app is evolving and you're trying to keep in many languages, then it gets very hard.
So we've got some more activity in the chat here. I think you may actually have your copy contributor, Hops, that says, thanks, Himanshu and Thunder Biscuit. That's awesome. I'd definitely love to help be an eye on copy, especially as a new user. Microcopies, an area of interest for me. And then John's asked a question here. Is it also possible to show which UTXOs are shown as an option you can drill down to when you type in the amount? So that's probably not a topic that we got into like too deeply, like when we were going through the process. I'm sure that students did have to, obviously have to study, some of the Bitcoin technical stuff when they were going, through the early part of the program. I threw up the coin selection page from the design guide here, and we'll throw that if in the chat if anyone's interested in digging down deeper into that topic. But do you have any thoughts on that? Anybody else?
This is, again, good complexity. I think that should be nice. It's cool if you can become like a sandbox where people say, hey, I've never bumped the fee on a transaction. I don't really know how to do this. Oh, let me get Padawan and I'll do it on Padawan first because it's testnet and I don't, it's not going to bother me. Like, I think that's a really cool idea. If you're familiar with flavors, app flavors, you could have like in the App Store 2 flavors of the same app. One could be sort of like a more, I don't want to say like advanced, but it could have like the pieces in the tutorials that are all that create like, child pays for parent or UTXO selection or like weird like RBF things or a lot of the more advanced things. But for us right now, we're trying to keep like also the UI super clean, so there's not a lot of like extra complexity and layers you need to dig down as a beginner kind of thing.
Hey, Stephen, we're nearing the hour now. We can go on as long as we want to here, but I mean, usually people like to stick around for an hour. I wanted to see if there are more things everyone would like to chat about, if there are more questions. And afterwards, I want to make sure that before we wrap everything up, that we maybe get to hear from the students about what they want to do next after this. But before that, are there any other questions? Anyone in the audience? Everybody perfectly satisfied because the presentation was that good. Oh no, Colin, he's not satisfied. Colin, what's up?
I'm extremely satisfied. Sorry about that. I just wanted to say that there's so much that has got into this. I really appreciate the work that designers have actually done. I think normally there's always the gap between designers and developers, and like, how do I get all this stuff to like work the way it's been designed? But I think you have a really awesome team, Thunder Biscuit. So yeah, I think everything looks really, really good. I just wanted to say that it's quite rare to find apps that focus on Bitcoin education. And I think that's super important today, because the more we kind of like make things easier to understand, we can actually contribute towards like more adoption. I think this is really, really important. My question was, after I do the tutorials and I'm done, then what next from that point? Do I then move and get like another another wallet on the main chain, or do I like what's next after I'm done the tutorials and now I understand how testnet works and how I got some coins, I send them around. So what goes from there? Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next after the user finishes it?
I
You're
don't.
gonna.
Yeah. So okay. So like we'd also love to like this is like one of like this is like a great feedback. This is like something we have to like look into to add to the app, like maybe suggesting apps, Bitcoin friendly apps the user could start using as soon as they are done with the tutorial. And we also like to like welcome people to like test the app maybe after this call anytime it's like convenient with you, so that we could just get a bit more feedback on some of the things that are not clear or some of the things that could be improved from what we've designed.
I don't think we exactly kind of talked about what was next for the user, uh, but hopefully there was some sort of completion when they finish interacting with the app, and then they say, all right, like maybe I can try out this Bitcoin wallet, or try to look into this resource and something like that. And maybe that could be another part where we have like a resource page, like next steps you could have, which I think is a really good idea, because this is just an entry point, but it doesn't end there. We have to find a way to continue it and help support the users. So I think that's a really good point, and there's definitely a lot of ideas that could work around that.
So yeah, as Autumn said, after the user finishes their journey, we kind of encourage them to return the testnet coins, as even testnet coins have value, and this is one of the things we talk about in the app. So yeah, we ask the users to return the coins, and as Autumn mentioned, we would be having a resource page where we would suggest users to have their own mainnet wallet after that. So it basically it makes Padawan act as a platform for the users to hop on and then get a head start into their Bitcoin journey. So yeah, th- that's pretty much our goal from point zero to 100.
All right. So what's next for all three of our students? You all, you looking for jobs at Bitcoin companies? You looking for jobs as UI designers? What's on the roadmap?
My roadmap on just tidy up my portfolio, turn this into like a portfolio with proper documentation, and put my resume together, and then start applying to companies, to Bitcoin companies, and and see where that takes.
I want to keep working in the Bitcoin space, and keep like learning about how to use Figma and all of these design tools, and kind of just keep learning about UX design. Um, I'm not exactly sure like if I'll work or this coming school year, so I'm still figuring that out. But I definitely know that I still want to just keep working and developing my skills.
I'm pretty much in my final year, so I'll be looking for jobs in this space very soon. So yeah, my main target is kind of that as of now. I would definitely like to work in the Bitcoin design community, and maybe a Bitcoin based company full time. So yeah, I'll see how it goes.
And if anyone's interested in talking to you, where can they find you?
Padawan channel is our home, I think. They can
That's
always
in
find us there.
that's in Discord, the Padawan Discord, or
Yeah, of course.
how do you find Slack?
Discord, or yeah, I'm also in the design community Slack as well. So I mean, I think everyone is, all three of us. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe we're listed like on the Summer of Bitcoin website under Padawan Wallet, and then I'm not sure if there's contact information from there, but yeah, Twitter or anything like that.
Twitter, Twitter is a good place to reach me, or Discord, as well as Slack. Precious in when I search, like, my name should pop up.
Awesome. And then one more question.
Has everyone tagged in it?
Yeah, and then the three of you are also, as part of the program, you're also creating kind of a summary blog post about your experience. Is that right?
Yes,
Or did you already create that
Yep.
one?
Yes. That's one we have to create to submit. Yes.
We actually had
Yeah.
to submit two different reports. So one was for the midterm report, and one would be the final upcoming one. So yeah, I already, I think we all already wrote a part one of our blog. We'll be, concluding it with a part two properly.
Yeah, as well as how to contribute to Padawan if anyone is interested in the project.
Awesome. Yeah, and then we'll try to share that in the design community as well for anybody interested in following up. And yeah, is there anything else you'd like to chat about? Because otherwise, I would just say Thunderbiscuit wants to. Here we go.
Just quickly, I thought about if from the designer's perspective you're interested, our student designers are going back to school, so everybody's going to get busy and they have exams and all sorts of stuff. But if you're interested in contributing to Padawan from a design perspective, we're not done yet, so there's more work to do. Particularly, I think I foresee the tutorials coming through with like really good content, but spot illustrations and GIFs and other things are not currently created. So that could be, I think, a really good addition for people like visuals as they traverse the tutorials. So that's a whole set of illustrations that need to be built. And if anybody's interested, cool stuff you can work on.
All right, so Padawan looking for. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just lastly, I just want to say, even if the recording ends, but I mean, this is my little project, so I mean, I'll stay for as long as people want to talk about Padawan for sure. So if anybody has more questions or anything, I'll stay on this call for hours. Happy to chat about anything and everything.
So Padawan Wallet's looking for illustrators and animators, and one thing from the chat I just wanted to highlight before we and this is John said, glad you all want to keep working in Bitcoin. It's really great solutions you all showed off. This is the type of energy we need to level up Bitcoin UX. Great job again.
We love to have people test. Love to.
Yeah, I just want to say another huge thank you. That was super awesome. I was super impressed. I had no idea what would happen like a year ago when the idea was like, we could have a design track, and and it was super impressive. And I'm really happy that that you're also happy with what you came up with and how things worked out and formed a good team. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Okay, yeah. I also wanted to like point out that if anyone is interested in like testing out the prototype we've just done, the call should like take around 30 minutes. Just like get your feedback on like some of the things that could be made better, and just like document it if possible.
That's the spirit. Sign them all up while they're here and interested. Get them to you on the user testing calls. We know it's hard to get people sometimes, so everyone here, hop on in and test things out. There we go. Nice, Steven.
Oh gosh,
Yeah, cool.
was JLo with us the whole time? That's so amazing. Yep. Jennifer, welcome to Padawan. This is great. I hope you
Yeah. So I think with this gift, we can officially wrap up kind of the serious part of this chat, and I will stop the recording, and then we can just stay on and everybody can chat about whatever they would like, or go home, or maybe ping Precious on Slack or Discord about that user testing. I'm gonna stop the recording right now.